Welcome to Vuforia Spatial Toolbox Basics Part 1. Today we're going to go over menus, adding and deleting tools, and programming with these tools. First we should answer the question of what is the Spatial Toolbox? Well, the Spatial Toolbox has a lot of uses, but one of the most interesting ones is hardware interfaces. So you can connect to a robot and be able to read the sensors in real time and even be able to control the robot's motors and different ports through the Spatial Toolbox. This allows us to program robots from within the app and connect robots to other robots, but we'll get into that in later videos. First, let's go over the menus. There are 5 main menus that you have access to at all times when you're using the app. They're on the right-hand side of the screen. Right now we're in the interface menu. The interface menu displays all the tools. You can use them like the slider moving up and down. You can also move the tools around in your space, so I can move this graph around. The next menu we're going to go into is the programming menu. So this is where we can see the nodes behind the tools. We can connect them between 2 different tools to send data from one tool to another. The next menu down is the pocket menu. This is where you can access all the different tools that are available in the Spatial Toolbox. The next menu that we're going to go into is the settings menu. This is where you can toggle between a bunch of different options that the Spatial Toolbox provides. One of the ones that we're going to focus on is the found objects. So right now you can see that I have a slider and a graph. This is going to be very important for when we go into image recognition. The final menu is the freeze menu. I've actually had this on the entire video so far. It allows you to freeze the screen. So I'll take it off for a second. You can see that the screen is moving, and then I put it back on and it stops moving even though you move your phone. So this is very helpful for freezing the screen and being able to program without having to worry about where your phone is. Now I'm going to show you how to add tools and draw links between tools. So I'm going to start by clearing the screen. So if you hold a tool, you can drag it to the little trash bin icon over on the right hand side, and that will delete the tool from your space. So I'm going to open up my pocket. I'm going to go in and add a slider again. You can see it shows up a little bigger than I want it to be, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold with one finger and pinch in with the other finger, and that will shrink the tool. I can also pinch outwards and that will expand the tool, but I'm going to make it as small as it can be. I'm also going to go into my pocket and add a graph the same way I added a slider. Just find it in your pocket, tap on it, and that should add it to your AR space. And then you can shrink it down to the size that you want it to be. So I want to connect the slider to the graph, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the programming menu. I'm going to drag from the node of the slider to the node of the graph. And you see a little link connects between them. And now when I move the slider up and down, you can see the value on the graph changing accordingly. So now I want to delete this connection between the slider and graph. So I'm going to go back into the programming menu. I'm going to click anywhere that's not on a node and draw a line through this connection between the 2 of them, and that will delete the connection. So now you see I've moved the slider and the graph is no longer changing. Perhaps maybe we want this slider to affect multiple tools. So I'm going to go inside and I'm going to look for the value tool, and I'm going to add the value tool from my pocket into the space, and I'm going to size it accordingly. And now I'm going to go into the programming menu, and I'm going to connect the node from the graph to the value so that those 2 values are linked. Now I'm going to connect the slider to the graph. So now as you see, I'll move the slider and both the value and the graph will change. So you don't have to connect the slider directly to the tool that you want to change as long as you have that link. And then you can see I'm deleting the connection between the value and the graph. So now the slider will change the graph but not change the value tool. You can also change the position of the nodes in the programming tab. So I'm just going to delete the connection real quick. And you can see if I hold the node, I can move it around the space. The app will remember what node is connected to what tool, so you can still make connections between the nodes, and as you see the slider will still change the graph, even though the nodes aren't where the tools are. So lastly, I'm going to clear my space. So again, if you hold on the tool, you can get the trash bin on the right side of your screen to appear, and then you can drag the tools into the trash bin to delete them from your space.